It's nadpbe.org. This website is where you will find what you need. At least that is our goal. You will get an email probably Thursday that will have your login credentials. You will need to log in to the website. This one has me automatically logged in because I was in last night. So you will log in. Once you're in here, you see that there are three buttons here with the different roles that people are playing. You guys are going into the division monitor section. In the division monitor section, we've broken up the unions into groups. We've broken all the teams into 5 groups. You will go in there to get to your chat. And you can see we've been chatting, testing the speed of the connection. This is also where the webinar is, so we can get the audio and see the questions, and we'll go into that more later, but that's where that is. Okay. This is also where the live stream is for us to see the events that are for the general public, like the worship services and the church service and stuff. So this is where we're hoping that you find all the things that you need to have. All right. So it's very important that when you get your link, you check that you can get in and that you can get into this section and to your union, the union you are monitoring for. Okay. If you go into the wrong chat, it'll be harder for us to help you. We'll probably tell you, can you go to this other chat and move you over there. All right. Now we are designing things with backups, with extra redundancy, because life happens. So just in case life happens and this chat goes down, we need to know what else to use to communicate with you. So I've launched a little poll. If you could answer that. And the first one says Messenger. That's like iMessage. It's the Apple message system. But if you have more than one, click on all the ones that you have, so we can get a kind of an idea of how best to communicate with you if the chat on the website goes down. This is our backup. Everything we do, we've tried to have a backup. Oh, Key, did you start a recording?
I did.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's just about everyone. I think I'm missing a couple people. All right. So I'm going to end the poll and I'll share that with you. The winner, the one that most people have, is WhatsApp. So we'll be using that as our backup. So you will receive a WhatsApp notice. If you do not have WhatsApp, you can get it for free on your computer, on your phone, wherever. But this is the backup. We plan to use the one at the NAD. That one is much easier for everybody. It's all right there in one place. It's going to be much more convenient. But if something happens to the servers at the NAD, I want to have another way to talk to you. Okay. And so does everybody else on the team. So it's very important that we have backups to all our processes. So make sure you get in, get your credentials, and load your WhatsApp. Now, what do you use that chat for? You are the advocate for these kids. You are there to make them successful. Okay. You are also have other roles, but one of them is to help them make successful. We don't want technology to be their stumbling block. They've studied really hard. And just a second. I forgot to take that off the hook. I need to do that. The idea is that you help them succeed. All right. So if they are logging in, you help them do that. If they are or have questions or didn't do it right, we'll communicate you through the chat that there's a problem, or you communicate back to us that there's a problem, so that we know that something's going on and we can help you resolve it. But one of the things that's different about this version of PBE is the questions don't stop. Unless there's a catastrophic problem, as in the West Coast falls off the United States or something that drastic, the questions keep rolling, okay? So we have to have backup systems so that the kids are successful, and you are key in that process, okay? So the first one is, you will tell us in the chat, my team has a problem, and our IT people will try to get them back connected into Nearpod or help you get them back online. In the meantime, the questions keep going. So what do? Well, the other role you have is your backup recorder. And let's go here. You will receive a link to a Google Sheet. When you get it, open it up. It should have the name of the team that you are monitoring right here. And this is where you type their answers. They type their answer in Nearpod. You type their answer in this Google Sheet. That is our backup to their answer. Sometimes Nearpod sends us garbled answers if they accidentally hit a control key or hit a option key or some other special key. They didn't realize they typed it, but we can't read their answer. Or sometimes the answer comes back as a dash. That's all it is, just a dash. Okay, so whatever they type in Nearpod, you type here. Therefore, we have a backup, and what the judges will see is they will see their answers here. They will see what you typed in here. So they can, if there's nothing in Nearpod, they can look at your answer and they can give them points. Okay, the Nearpod is the official answer, and they will go with that. But if for some reason it's got messed up or missing, your answer is the backup. Like I said, you guys are the hub that makes this function. All right. Now, there's a couple other roles you do as their advocate. You will also do, if they want to challenge a question, not the answer to a question, because that's already being challenged. All the questions are going to the judges, so they're all automatically challenged, the answer part. But what if the Pathfinder feels that the question was misleading or the question was incorrectly worded? They can challenge that. Almost at every single level, we have at least one question that the kids want to challenge. So at intermission, at the halftime, and at the end, you can fill this in for them. They tell you the information and you fill it in. Their designation, that's that number that's right here on this first line. That is also the number they log into Nearpod with. That is their team number, okay? The union they're with, the conference, the church, the club, the number of the question they are challenging. We need to know what question they're challenging. You can't say, well, the one that was about Joshua, you know, that isn't quite enough information. We need to know what number they're doing. And then you write here, whatever they tell you, they need to explain why they're challenging this question, okay? You don't make up the challenge for them. They give it to you. It should be the team captain. Sometimes the whole team will do it. And when we're in a live situation, the kids are actually there. Sometimes the whole club, the whole team comes up and tells us what it is. Sometimes it's just the captain, but the coach doesn't get to say it. It is the captain of the team who's in charge of getting this challenge done. So that's another way you're an advocate for the kids. Now, another part you play is you are in charge of making sure they follow the rules. Yes,
Marilyn, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, just to break in for just a second, just to be clear, the challenge form should be filled out at either intermission or immediately after the testing.
correct. Because
Like, don't stop while the questions are being
Yes.
read.
No, the test keeps going. The test keeps going. There's no break until intermission. There's no break. So they can write it down on a piece of paper, what question number it was. If they have a blank piece of paper, they're allowed to have a totally blank piece of paper like the captain, and he can write something down. Some of them write it on their arms at PBE. When we're in person, they'll just write something on their arm because they don't want to lose it, right? So there it is. It's not going anywhere. And it doesn't really matter how they do it, but it can't be a paper with information on it. It has to be a blank piece of paper. Usually when I do the paper stuff to give out to the kids, I put 2 blank pieces of paper at the end of the little question forms, just 2 blank ones that they can write stuff on to keep track of what their issue is. Okay. And they can do that in this instance also.
Couple things about the form, Marilyn. how to access the form. From what I recall, that form is embedded on the monitor page on the NAD PBE website. So I believe it's, yeah, if you go there towards the bottom of it, I think it's on the bottom of that page.
Here you go.
So it's embedded there, so you can fill out the form there. If for some reason you cannot do it there, I believe the email that we're sending out, it will also have
Right.
a link to this form as
Right.
well. So,
But
okay.
yeah, we tried to put on the website everything you might need. So that's the first place you go look for things. Another role you play is to make sure the kids are following the rules. All right. So if you're watching a team and somebody has a rule infraction, you give them a warning. They may not realize they broke one of the rules. Let's say you're doing a totally virtual team, and the kids in a virtual team, they're supposed to have from the waist up visible and their hands visible at all times. Well, they might forget. Okay. They sit on their hands. You just warn them. You need your hands. I need to see your hands. Okay. And that's fine. Okay. But if it's a persistent problem, at halftime and at the end is when you report it through the chat that there's an issue and what the issue is. And we'll contact you privately. We'll talk about that and it'll go to the committee. Okay. But you don't interrupt the testing to let us know there's a problem. You do that intermission or at the end, but do give them a warning. You're allowed, like if you have a virtual team, if let's say one of the people keeps looking off to the side and then comes back, you can ask them to show you the room to make sure that there's nobody there giving them hints and so on. So it's your job to make sure they're following the rules. But you also want to be kind and understanding and figure out what's going on. Some kids, when they're thinking, look off this way or look off that way. And that's okay, but you don't know that. So as the monitor, you just want to make sure they're following the rules and doing and you're in person, it's a little easier because they're right there. But again, if a kid does something that they shouldn't be doing, you call them on that and see if they straighten up. But if it persists, then you can report it to us at the intermission and at the end. I'm going through my notes. All right, so let's talk about the teams themselves. Well, I think I'm going to talk about virtual teams, then we're going to talk about what the Scribe does. If you have a virtual team, most of them have a Zoom session that you log into so you can see them. The Scribe will share their Nearpod screen with the members of his team, and you will see that also. That's where you can see what you type in to the sheet. But what if their Nearpod goes down? If they say it and you can't see it, write down what they said. As long as the time is still going, they can't say it. Their Nearpod just went down. In most cases, that's not going to happen, but once in a while it does. So you'll be listening. But how do the kids get the audio? Well, every team is a little different, and you're going to have to make sure you've talked to that team to find out what they're expecting of you. In many cases, if it's a totally virtual team, they're expecting you to provide the audio. You will need a second device, like your phone, and that one you log into the same website, that pbenad.org, and let me go show you where it is. I think it's the button is there. I don't think it does anything, but the button is there. If I go to my union and I'm in here, right here, this English Spanish webinar link, that is the audio and the visual of the people reading the questions. Okay. So if you're a virtual team and they're counting on you and providing the audio, you will take your phone and go into Zoom, that webinar on your phone. You can't do it on your computer because you're already virtually on another Zoom, and you cannot do two Zooms on the same device. So you'll take a different device, put this one on the webinar, and then take your microphone from your phone and put it, your speaker from your phone, and put it next to the microphone on your computer. Does that make sense? Therefore, you're piping into the Teams Zoom what's coming across on the webinar. Does that make sense? So Nearpod will come up with the question. The webinar will have the reading of the question, and you're providing that audio. But if you are not with a bit virtual, you're in person, the church might choose to do it differently. they can have one computer logged in to the webinar and have it broadcast on a screen, and the kids are in Nearpod on their computer, because the church has 2 computers. Then you only need 1 device, but you need to have a backup. Remember, all things have backups. So your phone should be ready to go to that if you need to, if something happens to the church's connection. So always think, how can I make sure that I'm backing up these kids, that they have the technology they need to be successful? All right. So just keep thinking about that in all the things you do. So your phone needs to have a charger with you and an extension cord if you're at the church. The computer needs to have an extension cord and your charger. This is a long event. Your computer won't last if you're at the church, if you're at home. How are you doing your connectivity? Are you far away from the server? Are you close? Can you hardwire in? You think about all those things and how you can make sure the technology is not a stumbling block, okay? So I'm going to ask Key to bring up what the kids will be doing, so you kind of have an idea of how the Nearpod part of this works.
Okay, so I'll go as quickly as I can. Essentially, I've created a Scribe Checklist document for the Scribe. We've already given this to the scribes, and they should have this, but it'll be a good idea for you guys as monitors of the teams to also download this. I'm gonna upload this as a PDF so you can download it. So I'm just gonna go over a few things here. The first one is a Nearpod lesson code. This is the shared code that I believe all the teams here are from the British Union.
We have some others with us.
Okay, so this is the code that is used to log into Nearpod. It's going to be some unique 5-character code that is used to log into Nearpod. So in the email that we send to you tomorrow, it will have the Nearpod lesson code. The scribe should have this as well, but if they don't remember, just instruct them to go to nearpod.com/student, and then in here they can type in that code. Okay, so that's one, Nearpod lesson code. That's critical. If you put in the wrong code, you're not going to be able to see the lesson. The second part of it is two parts: the Nearpod team number and the Nearpod team name. Okay, the team number goes into the name field, and then the actual team name goes into the other optional name field. So let me clarify that. So the team number is a unique code that we've issued to each team, one unique code per team. It's an alphanumeric code. This is very critical for the team scribe to enter into their Nearpod session correctly. If they do not enter this code in correctly into this field, the name field, then the judges will not be able to match up their answers to their team in our scoring system. So this is absolutely critical that they enter in the name correct, the team number correctly into this field. The second one is the team name. In this one, they would type in, it's a combination of the church and the team, and maybe even the team designation, like Fiery Flames, Team 1 or something like that. So it's going to be some combination. We're going to give you that exact string that in the email that we're going to send to you, but this is what the scribe also needs to enter into here. So what they'll do is they'll click on join lesson. Okay, once they click on join lesson, we will be able to start seeing on our end all the teams that are logged into Nearpod during the login time, the check-in time. If we see that a team did not enter in their team code correctly, what we're going to do on our end is two things. One, we're going to basically have to kick them off of Nearpod. That's one. And number two, we will inform you guys, the monitors, through the chat on the website, and if needed, through WhatsApp, and let you know that, hey, monitor for this team, they logged in incorrectly. They put in the wrong code. We'll kick them off, and then you will be the one that informs the scribe of the team that you're assigned to that, hey, they need to log in again. That's basically it for that. Some other piece of short piece of information, I would recommend that you write down your Zoom meeting code if you have one. Ask your Scribe to turn off their autocorrect. Make sure, Marilyn mentioned this already, they have a stable internet connection, which I don't know if I have right now. Make sure that if you're virtual, that all the team members' webcams are enabled. And then whether it's for you or for the Scribe, make sure that their computer is fully charged and plugged in. That's
Okay,
it.
if you go to the schedule, if you pull
Yep.
up the schedule there, let's go over the schedule for this weekend. Friday evening is a worship session. You get to that through the live stream on nadpbe.org. They don't have to be in the same place. They can stream it at home. Parents, everybody can watch it. It's going to be a really good worship service. Starting at 8 a.m. Eastern time is when our check-ins start. We expect the British Union to be the first ones in because you guys are already up. And we expect the West Coast to be the last ones in because they don't want to sleep in a little more. There's a 2.5 hour window so that we can get all of you in. I know that at our union event, 23 teams took 1.5 hours to get in properly, and everybody checked in, all the monitors checked in, everybody linked up they were supposed to. We have 2.5 hours to do 5 times the number of teams. Okay, so come in early as you can. Let's get you hooked up so that the people who have problems, we can spend time with them, because we don't expect you to have problems. We expect you to have figured it all out. But if you do have problems, we're going to be there working with you in that 2.5 hour window to get you hooked up. At 10:30, we would like you to be connected so that everybody can do the worship service and relax. Now, make sure your computer's sleep mode isn't on, because you'll be off watching the screen at the church with the program, and your computer goes to sleep and it disconnects you, right? So you might want to turn off the sleep feature on your computer, and as long as you're plugged in, you're gonna be good. Now, between 11:30 and 12, it says opening announcements. That is when you're going to switch over to the webinar. That is when the kids go eat lunch. They go to the bathroom. You might want to have a lunch. Those 30 minutes are to get all our ducks in a row for starting at noon Eastern time. Okay. So there's a few things that'll need to happen. Getting your webinar up on your phone if you're doing virtually and providing audio, or getting it up at the church, making sure the kids eat, making sure that whatever it needs to do, because once we start the testing, like I said, it doesn't stop. So you're going to want to make sure those kids have done all the running around they need to do so they can get going. All right. The next time we have a break is an intermission. We've given an extra 5 minutes. Normally it's 15 minutes. It's going to be 20. That's for the kids to have a snack or something, because it's going to be 2 hours later. And I don't know, when you're 14, you're always hungry, it seems. So we gave it time for a little snack there. But depending on your time zone, that might be lunchtime, or that might be supper time, or, you know, and their biological clocks are on that rhythm. So if it's in the morning, it's snack time, we'll have snack time. And then if this is lunchtime, then have lunch. But make sure the kids are not hungry, but don't give them sugar, please, because that gives them a spike of energy and they crash. Okay. So think about what you're feeding the kids, and well, you might talk to the director about what they're feeding the kids, but what are you feeding yourself? If you're having to do it at home, you're doing virtual, think about what you're eating and what times you can have it and how much time you have. You don't have time to go and cook yourself a souffle, okay, for your lunch. You need to have something that's already made up. All right. Now, on the announcement ceremony, where you get to hear how the kids did, is going to be on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. That's when everybody, and it'll be on the live stream. So parents, grandparents, everybody can watch. All right. So thank you, Keith. So that's kind of an overview of our schedule and an overview of what the kids are doing. So we have a few minutes for questions, and I have a couple more things to let you know, and then we'll go to questions. First, in that half hour between, well, you can do it anytime up till start, you need to do uniform inspection. we're not going to do a full-blown uniform inspection. They've already had uniform inspection at the area level, at the conference level, and at the union level. What Jean would like is make sure they're in their Class A shirt, they're in their black pants or black skirt, have their sash, and have their scarf. Those 4 things. If they're virtual, they can just show them to you. Stand up, show you that they got the uniform pants on. You can see you're not going to check that the insignias are right on their arm. You're not going to check to see if the details. They have black socks. I know that at our conference level, we made the kids virtual, literally hold up their feet and pull up their pants and to move their camera so we could see their black socks. That's already been done. So we're not going to that level. But once you have done inspection, anytime before 10:30 or before 12 noon, just write in the chat, team inspection done. Okay. And that we'll know that your team is good to go, that you've already done that. Doesn't matter when you do it, whatever's convenient in that time slot. My guess is after you get connected and they're connected and everybody's happy with how their computers are set up, that'd be a good time to do it. That way everybody can relax until they start the service. Now, this is something that you're going to have to think about all by yourself because we cannot help you. You need to understand the technology you're using and the church is using and the kids are using to make sure you build in the redundancies you need. I've brought it up, I think, twice already, but it's so critical that you have redundancy. Like, let's say the router goes down at your home. Do you have a hotspot on your phone that you can use? How about at the church? If the kids are at the church, are they hardwired into the router? What if the church's router does not? Our church has horrible internet, okay? At my church, when I'm teaching Pathfinders, I'm using my hotspot because I cannot depend on the church's connection at my church. It just, I don't know why it's that way. It just is. And I'm not on that team over there. So I just figure out my own way. And that's what you have to do. You have to figure out your situation and make sure that you have redundancy. How about the kids at home? They need to have the only ones using the bandwidth if possible at their home. All right. So let's say they're doing their test in a room and brother and sister brings up something on a computer somewhere else, that'll take some of the bandwidth. So ask the kids to make sure that they only have the one window open and that all other devices are off, that they're just using the bandwidth for this event. So I was telling people here, if it's Sabbath afternoon and you're in the West Coast, the family shouldn't stream Loma Linda TV while they're trying to do this test. It'll just gobble up all their bandwidth, all right? And the kids get knocked off. So they need to have that information, reiterate it when you meet with the team, ask them to check, are they good to go? How are they connected in? Just work with them. Sometimes the kids don't believe you or don't understand, and they will have 15 windows open on their computer because before the event they were surfing around. Have them make sure they close all of those. It will knock them off of Nearpod. Okay. And we know that for a fact because it has happened. So it's very important that you give them counsel to help them get going. All right. Now, another thing that was asked yesterday is about the length of time to answer the questions. That some of the questions that kids were not able to answer in the time at the lower levels. So the questions with long answers, we've increased the time they get to type. Okay. So that helps them out. You don't get to, in the Google Sheet, finish the answer for them. Okay. Let's say the answer was Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Okay. And they got Matthew, Mark written in. You heard them say Luke and John. What they got in the time allowed was Matthew, Mark. The Luke and John doesn't count. Even though you heard it, it wasn't in the time allowed. So what you can do to help them is when the 10-second marker comes up in Nearpod, warn them. Because in the real event, when we do it in person, this is a real event, when we do it in person, there is a person who says 10 seconds. I don't know if you remember that, but the timer will go and then they'll say 10 seconds. That gives them a clue. Oh, I better be typing. I better be getting this in. Sometimes they get so involved in working out the answer that they forget that. So as monitor, you can help them by just saying 10 seconds. Okay, that is a way you can enable the team to finish properly. So think about how you can be of help to the kids electronically and emotionally, but doing their very best. They're the ones taking the event. You don't get to help them with the answers. You don't get to fill it in, but you can enable them to do a good job. All right. So Nadine wave. So people see you waving. She's one of the tech team. She's been watching the chat. Sherilyn, who had prayer, she's part of the tech team. And Key is part of the tech team. I don't know if anybody else on the tech team joined the call from work today, but we're all here to help you at the very best we can. We're available pretty much 24/7. So if you email us, and I'm going to put my email in the chat. If you email us, we try to answer your questions as quickly as we can. We usually get back to you within a few hours. I'm typing and I can't talk and type at the same time because I end up typing what I'm talking. There we go. So feel free, those of you who are in the British Union, if you send me an email, I won't get it. I probably won't see it until our times match up. Okay, so if you do it late at night, I'll see it. But if you do it early in your morning, you have to wait till my morning to see it. But within 12 hours, we try to answer everybody.
Hey, Marilyn, there's a couple questions just asking about reference material. When will this recording be available? What reference material? I believe stuff will be coming out via email, the things that we've talked about, and it will also be as much as we can on the website.
Right. Emails went out today with information for you guys, or is later today. Key, I don't remember when Miguel was sending out the monitor stuff, but it's today, right?
It's going to be either yes, it's supposed to be tonight. Yes. Tonight.
Okay. So yes. There'll be an email you should be expecting tonight that has information. It's what it is the backup to what the scribes are getting. And then tomorrow you will get another email, which is information for you. Pretty much we'll be sending out information in emails, the things you need to know. We're also trying to put it on the website, so you'll have it for reference. But make sure that you're getting our emails. The email we are using is the one your conference registered you with. Okay. So if you have not gotten any emails from us, something is wrong, because I know I have personally sent at least 2. Okay. So, but now I had one person say, well, I didn't get any. Well, they registered him yesterday. So the ones I sent on Sunday, he didn't get. Well, they registered him Monday. But those of you who were registered earlier, you should have at least gotten a link from me, which gave you access to the training materials. The training materials are on the website in the resource section, but I sent a link in an email. I don't have that link handy, I don't think. Let me look real quick.
Marilyn, while you're looking for that, another question in the chat is talking about the passwords to get into the NAD PBE website. That is being worked right now. You should be receiving an email today or tomorrow.
Thursday, I think Kevin said that the emails will come out Thursday, and the email will have a link in it to take you directly to the login page. It'll have what your login credentials are, which should be your name or your email address and the randomly assigned password. Now you can change that password if you want to, but that email contains those 3 vital pieces of information. It also has a schedule and has some other things, but that information, if you look at it, it'll say what the URL is. You click on that, takes you to the login page, and then you'll have to refer back to your email to get the password. And I just copied and pasted because it's one of those randomly generated 13-character nonsensical passwords. And then there's an edit feature in the web page that lets you change that. But yes, look for that. Very important. Look in your junk mail if you don't see it. If you still don't see it, check with your conference to see what they registered you as. And if that still doesn't work, contact us and we will try to see what we have in our database for you. Any other questions?
think we've answered, or I think we've addressed everything that was in the chat. Oh, there is just the question about this last one about broadcasting the sound or the audio, and how to make that work effectively without interference or distractions. You know, like beeping or like turning off.
Oh, okay, yeah. You need to turn off. On my phone, I can turn off that it does, that goes to vibrate or goes to, you know, silent. So if you're doing the broadcast sound from your phone, which is what we recommend, make sure it's on silent and it's plugged in, and then figure out where the microphone to your computer is. I can't tell you, every computer is a little different. Find out where that is, and you're going to put your phone's speaker near the microphone on your computer. Okay, that's what you want to do. They'll get the best reception doing that. And it works quite well. It sounds kind of funky, okay? It sounds like, really? That's what I got to do? But we've tested it at 3 levels in our area and it has worked, okay? So we know it does work. But you can test it before the event. You can have, you know, somebody call you on your phone and the kids in the thing, see if they can hear the person on the phone. If you get in early enough and you have time, you can do different simple tests to make sure everybody's listening and can hear what's going on, that kind of stuff. So that's sort of what we recommend you do, but look at your situation. What device do you have that you can use that's dependable? Anything else?
There's another question about where to get the rules. So the rules have been sent out to the
They're in
teams.
the yeah, and they're in the resource section of the web page, I believe. I haven't been there in a while. It was when I looked, I don't know, a month ago. So I'm assuming under resources.
Or the conference folks who asked you to be a monitor should have the rules as well that they can pass on to you.
Right, there should be. Those are the trainings here. COVID rules and instructions. This is where you find that. And the books, the commentaries, the kids should have those already. They can't use them during the test, but that's where those are. So that's where we're posting those videos that were the training videos. Is the monitor training video. This is the scribe training video. They're already posted for you to see. You can send parents there to look. So I think everything's in there. If you don't find what you're looking for, drop us a line and we will try to connect you up. But your conference is a great resource. They have all the materials that you will need, and you know them personally and they know you, and they're on your same time zone. Somebody asked if it was like a big group chat. Yes, we have split up each group. The monitors is split up to about 25 of you, okay, in each group. That's not too unmanageable to have, but it is a group chat. So you'll be able to see each other. So if somebody asks a question and we answer it, you will get that answer also. It might help you out. So now, if there are some things that we need to take you offline privately, we may phone you to talk to you if you have a specific problem, or if we have to pass you to a tech person, we will try to do that separately so that we can help you directly without other chat getting in the middle of the chat that's going on, if you know what I mean. Because sometimes you'll have 2 conversations going on in one chat and it gets crossed. We don't want to do that.
Right.
So,
and for that same reason, we're going to limit the talking on that chat to only being issues or announcements that we need to make. Because we know you guys are going to be really busy doing a lot of things. So we don't want to just chat on the chat, if you know what I mean. But we want to keep it to only issues or announcements, notifications, so that you're not distracted either.
I forgot a very important thing. Shame on me. Let me share my screen. I don't think I said this. When you get into your sheet, there's this word test here. You blank that out. That lets us know that you have edit on this sheet and that you're there and connected. Every sheet, when it comes up, will have test in that question 1 place. okay? And another thing people asked is, if this is not big enough, it doesn't matter how big, it will take your answer as long as it needs to be. So you just keep typing. Don't worry about the cell not being as big as you'd like it to be. This doesn't matter how big the cell is. It will take everything you type in here. So I can type this, and lots of letters, and lots of letters, and lots of letters, and see how it just takes the whole thing? It doesn't really matter, okay? They had some questions last time, people worried that the cell was too small. It doesn't matter the size of the cell, it'll take whatever length of answer you type in there. But yeah, I had forgotten to tell you guys, when you're in and you've got the right sheet, it's got the right name here, take the word test off and we will know that you're good to go.
I know, Marilyn, you mentioned it earlier, but I just wanted to reiterate, every single answer that the team writes or answers should be written in that Google Sheet. It's not just the ones that if the kids fail to enter it into Nearpod, it's every single answer needs to be entered in there.
Because we don't know which one's going to come through garbled. So you'll see them type the right thing, but we don't receive it correctly. And I think when we did our union level, we probably had a 2% failure or 1% failure. So there's enough of a failure that it matters. Okay. So it's very important that you are backing up. And the kids didn't know their answers came through garbled.
Yeah,
Okay.
and with that, Marilyn, it happens if they happen to use a dashed line. It'll come through strange if they use anything Nearpod thinks is a special character. If they started off with a question mark, anything like that will cause it to come through garbled.
Right. Emojis, it comes through as a dash.
Yeah, if they start using emojis, warn them that their answers are not coming in correctly and that they should just stick with typing the answers.
They're so used to texting and using emojis, it's like doodling.
Right.
And when we get the sheets that are written in an event, they're doodled on. There's about 5% of the kids who draw little happy faces and, you know, they're just doodling. Well, you can't do that in Nearpod. You can't put emojis. It doesn't come across properly. So if you see them trying to do that, warn them that we won't get their answers properly. They just need to type the answer and leave it at that. One question we had last night, which I'll bring up, is what if you have kids who have attention deficit disorder or have another disability of some kind? Well, if they're wiggly, they're allowed to stand up, they're allowed to wiggle, they're just not allowed to leave the camera. Okay. So they can, and if they have that blank piece of paper and they want to doodle, that's all right too. I have kids, I don't know if you remember, but at the physical PBE, they get their information in a big manila envelope. You should see some of those envelopes when they're done with them. They got all kinds of artwork on them, okay? Because some kids need that motor skill involvement to think, and that's okay. But as the monitor, you have to make sure that they're just doodling, that nobody has a cheat sheet or something else that they've got with them. Okay, but if they need to do something, recommend that, you know, at halftime they get up and move. Don't just sit and talk among themselves, because the teenagers, oh, it's intermission. Oh, it's my time to talk to my friends. They need to move to get their energy moving and their blood flowing, and they'll sit better the second half if they've actually moved. One of the things that we do in our conference and division, not division, union, is before we start, we have the kids roll their shoulders forwards, roll them back, breathe deeply, hold it, breathe out. We do some breathing exercises just to calm them down, just to bring them down a little bit. You might want to do that with the teams. Again, you are their advocate. You want them to succeed. Okay. You want them to succeed honestly, but you want them to succeed. They have worked so hard. It behooves us to give them the best that we can.
Hey, Marilyn, there's a question. If you could kind of summarize the different platforms and devices that the monitors will need to have.
Okay. A monitor should have a laptop computer with a keyboard, and they should have a phone. Now, you're allowed to have a helper. And I believe the British Union has assigned a helper to all of you, if I remember correctly. That person could be the person typing, so they'll have a computer. Then you will have a computer where you're doing the Zoom, watching your virtual teams, because most of the British Union is in virtual. And you will have a phone in case you need to do the audio, or if the connection goes down, you can use its hotspot. You know, think about your situation, but definitely you will need a computer and a phone, and probably a second computer with your assistant who's doing the typing. Some of the unions are using an assistant because their teams are all virtual and it's hard to watch the kids and type at the same time. So they've got an assistant. Some people are comfortable doing both. I think about 40% of the teams have an assistant. Okay, so it's not unusual. You can do that, have somebody to help you out, but it's not somebody from the team or a parent of a person on the team. The person who's typing needs to be not associated with the team in some way. And that's why the conferences are sort of assigning them so that they're vetted. Did that answer the question, you think?
I think so. Sorry, I was looking at the next question.
Okay.
And let's see, Vivian, I'm sorry, I'm going to just kind of put you on the spot here. Or Vivian, I hope I said that right, sorry. Was asking about how to get the link to the sheet. We said that the Google Sheet will be emailed to you, but then she has a follow-up that says, at the union level, they sent the fillable sheet to my email, but for this level, I understand it's different.
No, the Google Sheet will be emailed to you. Yes. Yeah, the Google Sheet will be emailed to you. If you do not receive it, drop us a line so that we can make sure you get it. We have 5 facilitators that are helping with the chats. So when you have a problem, they can get you the information you need. They will have access to those Google Sheets and make sure you get what you need. If you, for some reason, it's the day of the event, we're going to start in an hour and you don't have your sheet, we'll get it to you. But you will get it in an email. And the idea is getting it early so that you can test it, make sure you have edit capabilities and that it looks right to you. All right. But don't take the word test off when you're, leave it there. So on the day of the event, when we look at it, we see all the people with test, and then we see them disappear one by one as you guys get connected the day of the event. Does that make sense? Because I want to make sure we don't miss anybody. Any other questions? We have 10 minutes. You guys are quite silent. All right, then.
There is one more question that Chaz just wrote in the chat. It said that there are 2 emails that will be sent to us. What will the email sent later today contain? So maybe the registration email for the website, and then the other one is the informational email, right? Is that right? Do you want to clarify those 2?
There's going to be one email from the website for your logins. There's going to be one which will give you your Google Sheet connection, what your Google Sheet link is, so you can go to your individual Google Sheet. And in that, it will have other information, but that's the key thing that you will need. And it's all ready to go. I just didn't want to send it out like yesterday in case something adjusts since then. So it'll probably go out on Thursday.
So to maybe summarize it, the first one is just a login email for the website, specifically for you, instructing you how to log into the website. That's one email. The other one is all of the other information that you need about the day of the event.
If something comes up, we'll push out another email, but look for those 2 for sure. If something happens or we forgot to tell you something and somebody says, oh no, they need to know this too, we'll put it in an email. We'll try to have everything on the website to kind of consolidate the things that you need. But the Google Sheet will not be on the website because those are unique to you and unique to the team you're monitoring. So it can't be on a generic site because that would be disastrous.
Hey, Marilyn. Sorry, there's a question in the chat that I think is worth clarifying for everybody.
Yes.
It's live stream versus webinar, and the lag associated with each one of those. So Key, since I'll let you handle that one.
Yeah. So there's, I think Marilyn said earlier, but I just want to clarify. So for the general public to be able to see the worship.
Key,
Yes.
Key, I think you're going to have to start over. We lost you there for a minute.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry about that. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay, so for the worship service and for all other people that are just viewing the testing and viewing and not actually participating in the event, meaning not the monitors, not the teams, they can click on this live stream link. This link, this page will show the live stream of the event. You cannot use this as the audio source for the testing portion of the event. For that one, you need to go into the division monitor access link right here. That's where there will be a link to a Zoom webinar. Okay, that's the one that when you log in there, that's reserved for the team members and for the monitors. Okay, that's the one where there will be no lag. This one right here, the one that the general public is looking at, there will be at a minimum 15 seconds, maybe even 30-second delay. So do not use this link. Use the one that's in here.
Plus, there will be commentary. The questions being
Correct.
read is going to be an embedded screen. There's going to be pastors talking about PBE, interviewing people. It's more like in a sport event where they have the people who add color, who talk about the thing. That's what they're going to do in the live stream. The kids will be doing the test. And so the test will be like embedded in the corner so the parents can see the test going by, but they'll be hearing all the other commentary. They're allowed to ask questions. There's a set of panelists that there's going to be a program for them. But the kids need to be in the webinar that you find inside the access under about. Yeah, if you click there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this
there.
one.
That one there, that's where you put the audio and the questions are being read. Okay.
Yeah, this is the one that you need to have up and be sharing with your team through your phone so that they can hear the questions in real time. You should not use this one.
That's one of my nightmares at night that keeps me awake, is that some team will get the wrong link for the questions, and there's Nearpod is going at one speed and they're listening at another speed and they're like totally confused. That would be horrible. So they need to be on the webinar that you have a link here. They will also have a link for teams like directors can get to. That's the backup. So you are primary for audio and connectivity for the reading of the questions, but the directors have a link also, so they can be the backup. Great question.
So there's a question of, can the scribes just log into the webinar on their computer?
Not if they're virtual, because they're going to be in a Zoom session and you cannot have Zooms at the same time. A webinar is a Zoom session. Okay.
Correct.
It has to be a different device. Now, if the kid has 2 devices, they could, but most kids don't own 2 devices.
Right. And then the other challenge is we experienced a long time ago is if there's 6 virtual team members on a Zoom session and then they all log into the webinar on their own, you're going to get a whole bunch of audio feedback because
it's
everybody. So that's why we just said the monitor logs into the webinar and the monitor shares the audio with the rest of the team if you're in a virtual session.
Right. That's the best scenario, because the feedback and it's really bad when you have that many speakers all trying to. Zoom doesn't know what to do with the sound. It doesn't know who's in charge of the Zoom. Good question. So we got 5 minutes.
I think there's a question in the chat, which I also wanted to ask. Do you need a Google account to access the Google Docs?
No. It should let you in. It'll probably ask you to, I don't even think it asks you to log in. I think it just lets you straight into the Google Sheet because you're getting a direct link. Now, if you have a Google account, you can get to it other ways. But since we're providing a direct link, you shouldn't need anything
Right.
but that link.
The permissions on the sheet should be that anybody that has the link will be able to view it and edit it. So, and we're giving you the link, a unique link for each monitor.
Yeah,
So you
each
should
of
be
you,
the only one,
right? The only one in there.
even without a
Don't
Google
share
account.
your link with somebody else because then that will cause problems. Like something, I didn't get the email. Can you forward me your email? No. No. Have them go find their own email. They need their own link, their own unique link to their own unique sheet.
So Marilyn, just to clarify, when you send each monitor the link for their sheet, it's going to be directly to the sheet for the team that they are monitoring. It is not a general
Mhm.
link of any kind. It's directly to their sheet itself.
Correct. It is a direct link to that sheet. That way you don't need permissions, you don't need a Google account, you're going directly there. The danger is that somebody get a hold of your sheet and then there's, multiple people. And somebody asked me that, and we can kick somebody off the sheet if necessary. But if you don't share your link, it should be okay. That's your link.
And I guess related to that, if you have an assistant, so if there's two of you doing the monitoring task, it's best not to share the task of entering into Google Sheet. One of you type the answers into Google Sheet and the other one observe the team.
Right.
That'll just make sure that there's less chance of any mistakes happening or data being lost on that Google Sheet.
Now at halftime you can switch seats, but just leave the same computer.
One of the things that was helpful for us last time, my husband and I were monitors, he would take picture of every answer because I was typing at the same time the Pathfinder was typing, but I wanted to make sure I typed exactly the same thing as them. So we took a picture and then I verified with the picture that I typed the same thing. So that was helpful. Just in case you miss one, you have it there in a picture.
Right.
That's perfect. Yeah.
That's a very, very good idea. Other teams have done is they'll write it down on a piece of paper, just like they would at PBE. The scribe's typing, but one of their other members wrote it down and they passed it back to the monitor. So they had a written copy. So just in case the monitor didn't see it or whatever, they can go back, because in that Google Sheet, you can go back and fix something. Let's say you typed it and then later you realize, oh, I got that in the wrong spot, or I misspelled that, or I got a weird character in there. You can go back and fix it. Now the judges are going to be doing their judging real time. So they're going to be about 8 questions behind us, but not much more than that. So you need to be entering the answers as they do them. You can't wait till halftime and enter them all at once. Okay. Because the judges are judging real time. All right. So it's important that you keep up, or your scribe, the assistant keeps up with the typing as much as possible.
Yeah, we did make sure to ask the scribe just to give us a few seconds